got Car of the Week. Car of the Week is a 1979 Jeep. Now, Jeeps we don't always have on the show. We've done a lot of restorations on Jeeps. We've done a 1949 Willys Jeep model car, but we got something that's really kind of interesting. I saw this Jeep over at Hot San Jose Nights last year. The owner, which is Jeff Thompson, still leaves the tag in the window of the truck to support Hot San Jose Nights. We really appreciate that. But guys, before appreciating that is appreciating a beautiful, fantastic automobile. He's taken great pains of restoration. The restoration on this is what I was really impressed with for a Jeep and something that's driven on the road in a 1979. Not a lot of guys are rebuilding and restoring vehicles in the late 70s. But think about it. This vehicle, 1979, this vehicle is 32 years old. 32 years old, and it looks this nice. A car is only original once, and I have said on the show 1,000 times. So what he has done is a little bit of a notch above, literally above what they call a cosmetic restoration. This right here was a partial frame off. And a partial frame off means he removed everything on the frame other than the cab itself. So we went ahead and removed the hood, the fenders, the whole front area in here. The bed of the truck was removed. Everything was cleaned and done, grommets replaced, and all the whatnots get taken care of. And he went ahead and had all the body work done and repainted. The color of the car is absolutely spectacular. It's kind of a metallic, a very fine quality metallic, goldish. You know, you see it in there. It's kind of like a root beer is what Jeff kind of called the color. And I called the other part of the two-tone kind of a champagne. So you get a little bit of a root beer and champagne cocktail. I don't know how that's going to taste, guys, but some of you guys out there has probably tried it and done it. Car guys basically drink about anything, but you know how this world kind of goes. But what a nice touch for this vehicle, doing a 1979 car. This vehicle has about 70,000 plus miles, original miles, but they're good miles. And the neat thing about it is he's got some pretty big tires with aluminum alloy wheels, and yes, it is four-wheel drive. And being four-wheel drive was popular. Jeep was known for the durability and the toughness of a vehicle. Now, Jeep actually was the very first car known to be actually used in the military. Originally, military was going to use a car called the Bantam, and the Bantam could not produce enough vehicles for the military. Jeep jumped in right immediately, was able to perform a vehicle that could be totally utilitarian and make this car here run and be tough. And it got turned into the actual regular general public market. So when Jeeps hit the market for many years ago, people would use them for durability and whatnot, and they've been impressive ever since. So in 1970s, a few cars that were hard to collect in the 70s. I'm telling you that right now. You car guys would know that. For a car 32 years old, guys are restoring Jeeps. Guys are restoring certain model cars that are in the 70s that are worth doing. This here was done. These had a lot of options to come with. When I say a lot for a Jeep. You know, if you get a Jeep that actually had windshield wipers considered an option, the way Jeeps ran and drove with roll bars and whatnot, but they had air conditioning, power steering, power brakes, and all the goodies. But guys, we like performance. Jeep had a motor to these things here. 1979 offered a 360 engine, was one of their largest engines they were able to put in some of these. They did have a motor that was a 401 that AMC did use, but for the Jeep line, for this particular vehicle, was a 360. They even had a 304, which is a smaller V8, and then they had the six-cylinder. I don't know if I'd want to restore a six-cylinder Jeep. There's probably guys out there that do, and if you do, I'm not trying to cut it down or beat it up, but this is the one would be my choice to do and to do well. Now I'm going to take you underneath the hood to a 360 cubic inch engine. And I'm going to tell you one thing, Jeff really spared no expenses nor time for detailing. And what I was so impressed with, that he did it, and he did a really, really good job. Underneath the car, you're going to go underneath the hood, underneath the Jeep, I should say, is underneath here, you got some chrome. And guys, we like some chrome, we like some glitter, and there's no doubt about it at all. And a 360 engine is just really cool, very powerful this. You can see obviously he's got an aftermarket chrome air cleaner on there, which kind of gives it a good car guy look. It breathes probably a little bit better. He's got power brakes over here, make it nice and safe. This thing's got disc brakes in the front. He's got power steering here. It's got some chrome valve covers, some high under ignition wires on it, and he definitely has a performance intake manifold, which probably makes a world of difference for these. Anything you can do to add performance to any off-road vehicle, four-wheel drive vehicle, street vehicle, it's good to do it. And in the 70s, they cut down a lot of options with a lot of smog and stuff. So Jeff wanted to kind of boost up his 360 and make it a little bit more powerful, and he really did that with doing this. You know, he's put a high energy ignition system. You can see a special distributor inside here, like I mentioned earlier about the wires. And I got to tell you, underneath the engine compartment, this was just so sanitary to see done in a 1975 car. Really, really good stuff. Check it out.
Oh no, your heart's been sold.
something that's really cool, what Jeep went ahead and did. Now, Jeep went ahead and like a lot of manufacturers made some changes. You know, when Packard went ahead and sold, and then, of course, Studebaker went ahead and sold. Actually, Rambler sold. Rambler sold really along with Jeep at one time, and they turned it into American Motors. American Motors actually acquired Jeep. And American Motors, being a classic automotive company, their colors were red, white, and blue. This was significant. This was the A that actually was in the American Motors. This was their logo that they used. And they used this on all their vehicles. You'll see it in all the badges and all the emblems. They'll still have the Jeep emblems on the vehicle, but this right here stands for American Motors. Talking about series and options and whatnot, when Jeep did come out, this model happens to be a J10. I want to make sure I emphasize the model J10. This right here is a short box, and the short box is the bed of the vehicle, shorter wheelbase, a little more easier for rock climbing, off-road use is great. They had another model, and another model I think was a J4000, and the J4000 was a wheelbase of about, I'm going to say 12 to 15 inches longer. I think they're a little bit more less desirable, but in certain parts of the country, in certain parts of the world, the J4000 happens to be a little more desirable because it does have a long box. Californians like a little more of a stubbier use for some of the off-road using, and that's what makes this vehicle so desirable to a person like me. I'm more in tune for the short box. But guys and gals, that's what the J10 means. He left the emblem on there. He did a little bit of creative paint on the inside. Little options that Jeffrey put on there. You know, the Jeep emblem here. Obviously, we put the AMC emblem there, and you know the custom license plates. It needs a Mike Hennessy license plate frame though, for sure. We're gonna have to get one of those on there to really make this thing absolutely spectacular. Toward the late 1979s, you're seeing things on cars similar to stuff like this here. Take a look at this, the double bar on here, and the quality thing is that it was actually painted to match the truck. Some come chrome plated, and Jeffrey decided to go ahead and paint them that extra two-tone, that champagne color. But look how wide these tailgates are in this. This happens to be a lot wider than a lot of the Chevys and a lot of the Fords and a lot of the Dodges that are out there. And I mean, easy access. I mean, to pull this thing here down, guys, and it's ready to go. But I can tell that Jeffrey took the couple extra steps, and all this right here was done in a Rhino liner spray-on. Rhino liner, the stuff right here, this right here is hard as a rock. This is really pretty cool stuff. So I think it's kind of neat. The bed of this thing right here, as far as a utility truck, you guys got this. And over in Australia, you guys would call it, this is equality ute, mate. This is pretty cool stuff. Handles are on side there, all Rhino linered in. This right here can be used as a full truck.
The pain you hold, love is much too precious to be out of bottles. Last chance to change your ways, to pull yourself above the mistakes you made. I was down in my hole till the words of a prophet let me know. I was low in my soul.
When you think of a Jeep, you don't think they're really posh and really plush. I'll tell you, 1979, they did a lot of added stuff. This upholstery in here, guys, as good as any car is going to get out on the market. The headliners, this is actually a padded headliner. They're not cashmere like a Rolls Royce or anything like that, but any American Motors car, they had to keep up with the rest of the market with all the big three makers of getting things out there before Chrysler acquired it. And, of course, they have all the plush things like visors, of course. When you think of a Jeep, take a look at the inside of here. This is this 3-speed stick that's on the center here. 3-speed stick is really cool. Having the option with a 360 CID motor with some ponies behind it with a 3-speed stick on the floor. Guys, that is really, really cool. Driving this thing around has been kind of neat. And I don't know if anybody really noticed, and I'm not going to have a contest on here because most of the guys who watch my show better know the name of this right here. These right here had all sorts of names. Suicide knob, knicker knob. There were names for this all over the place. And actually, they were mounted permanently on some trucks had them, and forklifts actually had a little kind of an eyelet welded to the steering wheel for the knicker knob or the suicide knob to be on there to spin it around. Four-wheel drive guys do use them. Some do, some don't. In this particular case, Jeffrey liked it. I think it's a pretty cool touch to put on here, and I think it looks pretty cool. You can take a look. They have a padded dash for a Jeep. You wouldn't think that, Jeeps really came into that. So when American Motors acquired Jeep, They went ahead and did a lot of changes to make this so it would suit the open market. We got padded door panels because Jeep wasn't known for things like that. They're known to be rugged and whatnot. Well, they made this so this could work. This could be the grocery store getter. It could be all the stuff. And safety, they have shoulder harnesses. Not all the vehicles in the 70s had shoulder harnesses. This has it. A few little mods that he went ahead and did change around on here. He actually has an oil gauge and a temp gauge mounted onto the dash right next to the radio. And that's kind of a pretty neat feature to put on there, because sometimes the gauges on the dash were not the quality that us car guys kind of like. Most of us guys do like to do add-on gauges. That's kind of part of what the Flare is all about. And you got carpeting. This car is actually carpeted. In the earlier days, some Jeeps that were kind of the simple sold ones had actually the rubber mats. You get this padded carpeting, and this right here is actually a plush carpeting. It's not a loop. This is a plush carpeting. It's kind of an upgrade on it. I think Jeffrey probably took care of some extra upgrades to make this vehicle kind of a little bit better than your average car and your average Jeep, I should say. I got to get used to that one. But what a cool piece to drive and a piece to own, and I hope you guys enjoyed Car of the Week. So check this thing out, because I loved it. It was at Hot San Jose Nights. He brought it down there, premiered it after he went ahead and did the restoration work all himself. He had a friend of his paint it, and they went through great extents to make everything really nice. And to see a 1979 vehicle on the road done like this, my hat goes off to you, Jeffrey. Great job.